features some microtonality in its string arrangement, scored by Jonny Greenwood. The strings are gliding haphazardly between pitches, creating a chaotic and unnerving texture. It's hard to actually identify the pitches that the strings are playing here, and that's sort of the point. They spend just as much time in the spaces between the standard pitches as they do on them, leading to an ultra-chromatic, tonally disorientated sound. I mentioned earlier that the human voice is perhaps the most versatile instrument for writing and performing microtonal music, and a fantastic example of this is Jacob Collier's a cappella arrangement of In the Bleak Midwinter. Collier's arrangement of In the Bleak Midwinter not only uses microtonal chords, but it actually modulates to a microtonal key. Through the use of 4 increasingly microtonal chords, we're shifted from standard E major to the key of G half sharp major. Take a look at this clip where Jacob demonstrates that prior to the modulation, his song is perfectly in tune with a standard piano. But then only 4 chords later, he has fairly seamlessly modulated us a quarter tone out of standard tuning, meaning that the music is now out of tune with the piano.
B, yeah. 4 magical chords. And then
the 4 chords that Jacob uses here use subtly widened or narrowed intervals, so by the time we reach the end of the progression, our perception of the tuning has been shifted enough that the key of G half sharp sounds perfectly logical and harmonious. Once we land in G half sharp, the first melody note we hear is this B half sharp, pitched at 508.36 Hz. If I play that pitch as a sine wave over this section of music in G half sharp, it sounds harmonious because it's in tune with the key of G half sharp major. And if I play the same pitch over this part of the music before we've modulated, the pitch predictably sounds out of tune. But the interesting thing is, if I play this pitch as we pass over the modulation, you can actually hear how the pitch starts out of tune and then slowly begins to sound in tune as we pass over these 4 chords. One common point of confusion I wanted to address before the end of this video is songs that are not recorded at concert pitch. If you take a piece of music and pitch shift it so it's no longer tuning to one of our 12 pitches, that isn't actually an example of microtonality. For example, Friday I'm in Love by The Cure and Don't Look Back in Anger by Oasis are both not recorded at standard concert pitch. They're not recorded at A equals 440 Hz. Meaning if you try playing along to one of these songs using a standard tuned instrument, it will sound out of tune. But the reason that this doesn't make these tunes microtonal is that microtonality is about using intervals that are smaller than our standard Western intervals, not using notes that are tuned to different pitches. Songs like Don't Look Back in Anger and Friday I'm in Love still only use these same standard intervals. The frequencies of the notes may be different than normal, but all of the frequencies have been moved by the same amount. They've been shifted relative to each other. So the intervals between the pitches are still the same as they were before. As a musician or a composer, microtonality is one of those concepts that completely upends your approach to music. You can no longer rely on your years of experience and your muscle memory that's all built around the standard tuning system. It forces you to think completely outside of the box. It makes you almost feel like you're learning your instrument from scratch again. As part of my research for this video, I decided to write my first ever microtonal composition, and I thought it might be interesting if I shared with you how I approached this.